Welcome to the Occult Rejects. We are two former secret society members who were determined to show the public the truth that occultism has been purposely integrated into every aspect of society, from politics to music, Hollywood, and science. This is used to manipulate the public as a whole and to protect the fake elite. The symbols are used all around us to affect world events and public perception, our behavior, and even our future. We will translate the occult so that you have eyes to see. We reject their agenda to give you the tools to save yourself.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Occult Rejects with your hosts Lux
and the MY Patriot.
And today we have TJ from Contemporary Problems One, and he's a bit of a guru in Gematria, I guess you could say, and he decided to throw some numbers his way to see what he could come up with, and we're going to be sharing that with you. So what's up, TJ? Thanks for coming on in.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Yeah, I was telling
I'm good. I'm chilling. Get some codes ready for you.
I think the day I had you on after the show, I had hit up Lux and I was like, yo, this fucking kid with this Gematria shit was wild. And I was like, we got to get him back on.
The thing that's the problem with, I think, the perception of Gematria is that people assume, even in magic, like in magical communities, they assume Gematria is, you'll find something wherever you're looking for the number because you'll make it fit. And I totally disagree with that. I think that there's a real science. It's harder to understand, so I think that's why people will just kind of throw it by the wayside, because it takes quite a while to really master it. And to me, I think it's a totally legitimate practice. I wish I just was smart enough to do it more.
Yeah. Well, you know what the thing is that really impressed me, and this isn't to gas TJ's head up, is that when he covered it on my show, and just like the same way that Susan Mary Feinart did on the Occult Rejects, she does show multiple, or he also shows multiples of the number matching in different forms of Gematria. Now, I will say, if you go on Gematrix or whatever that is, you type something in and it only matches one out of the three that they're showing.
Yeah.
That could still possibly mean something, because you have to think people may be using that site as well to use your Gematria magic. So, it may still mean something, but when he's showing 3 or 4 different versions, all matching certain numbers or matching to other things, to me, that's I think, you might have something there.
And especially with us covering, what was it? What series was it? Not the Scarlet Whore, where we were talking about the last episode was about vortex math and how these numbers create geometric shapes. And so it's perfect explanation for, how there's a way deeper understanding of Gematria than just what's on the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah, numbers carry energy.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna even
so
say
it's just a way of figuring out that energy.
Go ahead. No, you can go ahead.
Okay. Well, just like what you just kind of said earlier, it's putting a magnifying glass up to the matrix, or up to the cube, or up to the simulation for sure.
Yeah.
And I do that a lot.
How did you get into it?
I got into it the day after Trump was elected. I was already into stuff for quite a few years, and I just wanted to find new outlets to research stuff and see if there was anything to it. So it started with numerology, but even in numerology, you still do the same kind of thing. It's in numerology, you do the basic Gematria, which would be reduced, because numerology is 1 through 9. Mm-hmm. So it's just 1 through 9 through the alphabet. So instead of going 1 to 26, you start over. When it goes to 10, you start over at 1 and count up to 9 again. I'll explain that. I have in my slides or whatever. But so it was just that day, and I was okay, let's get into it. And then I.
Well, what was the significance, if there was? Was it at that time, were you into Trump or QAnon or anything?
I was just into it all. Yeah. For sure.
All right,
I was
so
just hey, what's going on? We have Orange Man versus Shillery, right? So it's just. I'm just wondering, did the top go? So I was just
did what was going on at that time in the conspiracy community? What I was gonna get at is that I think I saw more QAnon people actually using Gematria than I knew magicians, that, so-called magicians, from my experience. So I did find that weird, and I was like, none of these people realize, like, they're actually, like, using shit that's, like, I'd be using in ritualistic stuff. Mm-hmm. And I just thought it was, like, kind of weird, and so I was, like, wondering, like, were you, like, predisposed to, like, the QAnon and Gematria being used, and after I guess maybe whatever happened, that spurred you to start looking into Gematria harder, to maybe figure out, like, what happened or what's going to happen. That's why I was asking. Do you think that could have been, like, an influence?
Sorry, I was just... No. I wasn't too into QAnon. I knew it was there, but I didn't... It was just, like, a little bit suspicious of it, but I was thinking of connecting with someone on that because I did find, like, a few kind of custom ciphers that I created where it's, like, your own number sequences that make sense. And I was getting all these crazy QAnon codes and stuff. And then I talked about, like, I think everything's a riddle. So I think QAnon just means Q and on. So through that riddle is kind of what I was uncovering there. So I might be able to crack a few Q and on codes because that's also the QRST, the Christ, cursed. It's Christ. Christ is in the alphabet. And even P, the letter P is in alchemy, the symbol for Christ is P with an X at the bottom of it. So P...
Oh, yeah, I've seen that symbol used.
Q and on. I think everything's just, like, biblical and a manifestation of Christ or that kind of thing. It's like they want the enlightenment. Like, the story is, like, Satan's last hurrah to try and get into heaven kind of thing. So that's just kind of my angle, too, just to give you guys a...
Interesting. Oh, and real quick, before we get going, why don't you mention your show and where they can find your stuff at?
Oh yeah, I got a show, Contemporary Problems. You can find it's at Contemporary Problems _ I'm on Instagram and TikTok mostly, and then Contemporary Problems wherever you get your podcast. It's the foundation is comedy, but I get into, like, pretty gnarly stuff and the spirituality side of this all, and it's the apocalypse. I call it the rock and roll apocalypse. Like, let's have fun. Let's keep the vibes up.
Do you want to maybe
here
plug
for the unveiling part of it?
Do you want to plug any of the those accounts that you've been going live on a lot lately with this stuff? I mean, I don't know if you can, but if
I go live a couple days a week with Mudflood memes and Resonant Properties is a guy I go live with a bunch. He's a Gematria dude, and then there's a couple sports guys. Austin edits The Matrix 12, and Phil Thies, and that's just off the top of my head. There's lots of us in this kind of network and stuff. But if you follow us, you'll find more if you're into this kind of stuff.
That's nice. All right, so I know there was a couple of things that after I had you on my show, I had told Lux, I was like, yo, maybe we can, like, hit this guy with a few things to actually cover and just have him throw in anything that he wanted to add himself, whatever that he thought was interesting. I did, and I know, unfortunately, this will probably actually come out before the episode he was on mine. I know, unfortunately, when you hear my episode, he will be covering 720, but he's going to be covering that, and really because I had questioned it going along with, like, 720p. Because then I had also asked him, could he cover 1080, and he says, yeah, I've already come across that, so... I asked him to cover 720 and 1080p. Well, not P, but 720 and 1080 stuff with that. I think I might have asked maybe him to bring up some Vesica Pisces type shit if he still had that. And then Lux asked for what was it again that you asked for, Lux?
I had 3 different numbers. One is well, actually, maybe we'll just wait. I won't tell you what they are yet, and then see what they come up with.
Okay. All right. Yes.
Ooh.
Yes. All right.
But yeah, it's gonna be crazy. And the 1080p and 720 stuff is important because these are the resolutions, right? We're viewing these resolutions, these frequencies into our eyes. There's a lot of magic going on there too.
I mean, I've even talked about how I think that, like, a lot of stuff with especially Elon Musk and numbers lately, and stuff with Trump, where you get like 88s or you get 4s or 44s. I even question if 4K, for king, maybe, because at the fourth sphere, that is the image of a king. I mean, even, because now we've gone from 720 to 1080.
Four
to now-
corners.
Yeah,
Maybe
or four corner, or
corners,
K
too.
for magic. Like, is there something up even with 4K? I had even
Yeah.
thought about asking you that, but I was like, I don't know, like, if you'd even get much out of that. So I was like, I'll just stick to 720 and 1080.
You know?
But I've
Like,
even wondered
are you guys
that.
under the impression that what we're on right now, the fact that we're here streaming and stuff, is like through the guise of magic?
Oh,
Like, do you
yeah.
think that it takes magic for us to be doing
That's exactly why
absolutely.
I
Right
asked you those
Okay.
things. Yeah.
same? Yeah.
This is an
Yeah.
act of magic right now.
I can't even tell you how many times that NY and I have went to record an episode or a series. And let's say, something happens, someone gets sick, can't make it, I got to reschedule, whatever. Then it's like whenever we look back at the dates that we recorded,
Yo,
they are
it's fucking
always in the same either planetary hour or day. It is nuts.
Yeah, it always,
And we don't
it's
do it
always
on
the
purpose.
same fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're just like, oh my god, it's fucking same hour. We're like, what the fuck is the odds?
Right.
It's very weird. Or it ends up being the day of, instead of that hour, it's the same planet, but just the day of it now. Yeah, very
And
weird
it's like
stuff.
it's like that stuff's going on in the background, That's magic. That's
Yo,
I
and
don't know
I'll even say it, and I wasn't even, and I'm not saying it to shit on the fucking dude either. It could have been coincidence, but even when we went on Tinfoil Hat, we even specified, and he had us even say it on air on the episode because he thought it was interesting. Even the day and time that we were recording then, we happened to check like the planetary stuff, and it was just like bizarre how it like actually matched like going on the show and everything. We're like, yo, this is fucking weird.
yeah, down to the
It was
the
even, it was enough
planetary-
to where he said we started recording. We did that. We had shitty connection. He sent us another link. We went back on, and he specifically made sure we repeated that part because he thought it was pretty cool. So it's not even shitting on the guy or whatever. Like that, I even thought that was fucking bizarre too. Just the timing and the hours. We're like, what the fuck?
metal, the planetary.
Yeah,
What was
it
it?
was
The metal
tin.
associated. It was tin.
Yeah, it was the hour of Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always talking about abundance, and that goes with
Yeah.
abundance. Yeah, so it was just weird. It was like really fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so yeah, TJ, that was the stuff.
I used to overanalyze that stuff.
Mm.
I used to obsess over that stuff and overanalyze the astrology and the planetary hours and everything and plan my day so accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be super into that to the point where I've had to like take a break and just feel
Oh,
it,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got very regimented at one point like
Yeah.
that with magic, and I was just like, it's like almost like not even authentic anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Takes away some of the magic.
Yeah,
Honestly.
really, yeah. I think you're right sometimes. Exactly. All right, so we started off here. We got our contemporary problems. We got the logo there. And our man has a slideshow like he did on the other
You know,
one.
happens.
Yeah, he comes correct. So. All right, so I guess whenever you want to begin, you can just like start off and just go to the next slide.
Yeah, let's rock and roll. Do you want me to? I can control the slides too. I think.
Oh, I didn't know I could do it too. Look at that. There we go.
Oh, there we go. So this is just like your standard gematria. A is 1, Z is 26. The alphabet is always going to be in that order. Therefore, it's always going to be in that numerical order. And then below that is the reduction. And that's the same as the numerology. C at I, it's 9. And then J, it starts over at 1 because that's the 1 through 9, keeping it single digit. And that's just essentially all numerology is like you can reduce, no matter how big the number, you can reduce it down to 1 through 9 by adding up all the digits in the number. Simply put.
And
Here's a
is that the Pythagoras? Oh God, I forgot how to say.
yeah, Pythagoras alphabet.
Yeah,
It's also
okay.
called the Pythagoras
All right,
alphabet.
Yeah. Now I also have been, I don't know how truthful it is, but like I even remember, I think it was an Israel Rigardi book actually that I was reading on Talisman. Maybe Lex, if you've read it, I'm almost positive he does suggest not mixing that and Hebrew together. If you're going to make a talisman, stick to one or the other. You have any thoughts on that? Makes sense to you?
Why not?
Yeah,
put them
exactly.
together?
Well, I don't know. Maybe that was like him just trying to tell us the wrong shit. Who the fuck knows? That's why I'm asking. Or even you, if you have an opinion on that. I do remember him specifically saying that, though. If you're going to use Pythagoras, whatever. One, don't mix it with the other one.
Hmm.
Fair enough. Yeah, there's many different ways, and it's kind of that's the kind of problem with gematria. It's a lot of self-taught kind of stuff, and everyone does it a little different. And you kind of just show matches and show. I try and like find themes in things, and try and find other ways to match it and connect it, kind of thing.
So similar to the stuff that we were covering. Yeah, that Vortex Math series. What's on the screen right now? That's nuts.
These are different ciphers. So the Sumerian one I cover a lot, which is just, and Sumerians are old AF, but it's just 6 times. So A is 6, B is 12. Those are all just factors of 6. But that's important because to cast a spell, words are spells, spellings. It's also called a hex. You hex to cast a spell. Hex is a 6-sided, the hexagon, right? The hexagram.
Which the angles add up to 720. Didn't you say that?
Yes, correct. And then below that, Fibonacci. It's a new cipher. I forget, someone who's known created it. Someone that's like on YouTube or something. But it's a Fibonacci sequence. It goes up and then goes down, or else the numbers would get too big. So there isn't no reverse. There isn't any reverse of it because the first 13 letters go up the Fibonacci sequence, and the following 13 letters go back down. Primes, prime numbers, a prime number, just in case, just to catch everyone up from elementary math or whatever that would be, is just it's not divisible by anything. So those are all, that sequence is always going to be in order as well. So it's a cipher I like to use a lot because of that. And like prime numbers are just so cool, and they're really important in this because you can do things like, oh, what's like, say if I'm working on the number 93, what's the 93rd prime kind of thing, and you can find codes from that and whatever. So the number properties are big.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the right at the top, I have it's just like the Greek alphabet, and they're just like how they have values. And then the standard English is just similar to that, and so is the Latin. The Latin is also sometimes called Jewish cipher as well, but same kind of thing. The Jewish letters also go up like that a bit.
When it comes to the Greek stuff, and this is something that I had wanted to cover myself. I wanted to add this into. I don't know if I did or not. I was doing like shorts on like the number 17. Do you know there's 24 letters, right, in the Greek?
Yeah.
Now, do you know how many consonants and vowels there are?
Not off the top of my head, no.
See, I was seeing that some people were saying they thought there was 17 or 16 consonants and then whatever vowels. I was wondering if maybe you had an idea. Because, and I'm not sure if I covered it because you do kind of get a different opinion from a lot of people, but there are people saying that there's 17 consonants, which I thought was interesting, and then 7 vowels. And 7's like a whole other number in itself too that I found very interesting. But I just don't know if it's true or not because I'm not. I don't know anything about that stuff.
That's like a really old form of gematria, and there's a lot to it. I just like don't want to talk on that before I like am fully educated on it. So as I think like the English language, it's the language I know. We do a lot of like it's more than just like just typing in words into the calculator. Like we look at the etymology, we look at or we decode the words. We look at that. We learn the rules so that we can break them as well. Like in that, learned a lot from like Santos Bonacci. He has good stuff on like how to break down the etymology. Of
yes, yeah. What do you think about the Bach saga?
I'm not sure if I'm familiar.
Yeah, it's a lot on etymology and stuff. I do question, or I do think that the way we say words, or maybe the way we think that they're supposed to be strung together, may be kind of incorrect, and would make more sense if. I do think there's something behind that.
And the English language has way more words than any other language, and then it's English. Anglish is the language of the angels, the angles.
Yeah.
It's a really mathematic language, I think. And then at the bottom here too, before we move on, is trigonal. So that's the triangular. There we go. Sorry, just got it a bit bigger. Triangular sequence. So 1 plus, like you can see the triangle there. 1 plus 2 equals 3. 1 plus 2 plus 3. So like a good example of that is the 12th trigonal number, 78. So there's 78 cards in a tarot deck, and that's the 12th. That's 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 all the way to 12. And then the 36 trigonal, which isn't on here, 1 + 2 + 3 + 4, all the way to 36 equals 666. So we see when decoding a lot of 36 show up, and especially if it's connected to 666,
okay.
you can do that.
I mean, that's almost even saying 3-6. You know.
Yeah. A good example of that is Kobe Bryant scored 81 points. Ritual equals 81. If do whatever you want with that number is pretty important. It's like in gravity 9.81. It's that 0.81. Something's going on there. And then that was in a 666 game, and that was against Toronto. And it's either Toronto or Toronto Raptors. One of those in reduction equals 36. So there's your 666 as well connected to that because he did that against Toronto. So they use all kinds of numbers and everything in everything, so it seems. So the 720, this is funny. So this is July 20th. These are days that I have a funny TikTok or reel on this because it's Moon Day. It's the moon landing. It was on 720 in 1969. Like, that's like pretty sexual there when we get into what the Vesica Pisces is and all that, right? And it's in 69 too, right?
Yo,
yeah.
You know,
very funny.
You know what's funny? And I don't think I might have noticed it, but I don't think I probably would have thought of it that much. But I remember when I was doing this 17, again, the same thing. I was just like picking out weird, random things on 17. I might have actually, I think I sent you the screenshot, if I remember correctly. And I showed you that the Washington Monument is in the middle of Vesica Pisces.
Yep.
And like it's in between 17th and 15th Street.
Yeah.
Over there, and I was just like, yo, like this shit I think is actually showing like fucking sex magic right there.
Yeah, it is. Oh, I know. That was one I didn't get loaded up that I wish I did, is like the bird's eye view of Washington. It's basically a porno scene.
Shit. I mean, the whole district was constructed by Freemasons. So, I mean, there you go. I think it's even openly admitted that it's designed specifically to align with certain occult practices.
Yeah, and it's right in between Pennsylvania and Virginia and Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
I think the DC might even represent direct current.
There we go. Divide and conquer. So these are funny days. So fortune cookie, it's like they're the ones doing this, not me. So don't shoot the messenger. Fortune cookie looks like something, and connected to the Vesica Pisces as well. And cake day, get that cake. I find it funny that's International Chess Day. That's interesting. That one not as sexual, but the moon landing, that's the rocket, like in Austin Powers, you know, Richard.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like that whole kind of thing. That's what it is. The rocket is the phallus, and the moon womb,
True.
right?
That's true.
And then so that's essentially what it is, and that's like what Washington also describes too, is just that like fertilization process. So then we also get National Hot Dog Day. I don't need to tell you what hot dogs are. National Lollipop Day. What do you do with a lollipop? Right, those are the ones that stick out, right? It's just ridiculous. This is all on 720, like they mock us, kind of thing. Because those are all, it's very clear what those all represent or look like, or that kind of thing.
Now, one of those days, personally, is one of my favorite days of the year. Is the Take Your Poet to Work Day. That's
I was looking at that. I'm like,
they lined up this year.
I was like,
it's not always July 20th, but it was an exception because it made it this year. I just did a quick copy paste from the website that like has all of them. But
Interesting.
I was like, what am I lacking in my life that I don't know a poet? Is this like, does everybody know a poet that they have as an option to take to work? Like, who's got poets to just drag into work with them?
Yeah, I took Walt Whitman with me last year, you know.
I'll bring one of my rapper friends.
Yeah.
Oh man, World Jump Day.
Here
we go.
With the Gematria, do I want to point out how it is spellcasting? And do I want to point out that they use words as numbers? And there's another cipher I didn't talk about, satanic. It starts at 36, A is 36, and it carries on. I don't use it too much, but every once in a while you get a cool number or something relatable to what you're talking about. I got all this stuff from G20 because it's called the G20 Summit, and G is the seventh letter, so that becomes 720. So a lot of these came from that. And then we know about the 27 Club. So ritual introduction is 27. And so obviously 720 and 27 are going to equal the same. And then we even get a 322 there, which was a number you wanted, matches with 27. So I know that was one number that you wanted to cover a little bit. It's such like a dangerous number, so I don't want to get too deep into it. And then the 172, I think I have stuff on this too a little bit. I don't know if I have my 172s, but it's essentially connected in like this little sequence we found through prime numbers. The sequence, I think it was a 127, was the sequence in prime numbers that we found, and it just has to do with like the 369. So we kind of grouped them as 369, 172, 84, and then like 5 on its own. So the 369 is the energy. The 172 is like the grid, or like the chessboard, or like the playing field. And the 8 and 4 are the reality manifestation. And then 5 is like the chaos of nature through that. So then the fact that 27 equals that 172. But well, like the 27 Club, right? That's like, and decoding sports too, that the amount of times I see the number 27, like so many quarters in the NBA, like more times than not, at least one a game, if not like all of them. Like in the NBA Finals, I think it was the last game, every single quarter had 27 in it, because that's like the ritual number. And then think about the alphabet is 8 is at 1 to 26, 27 coming after 26 as well. Very interesting that it's like beyond the alphabet. What's after the alphabet? The alphabet also tells a story. I have like a big decode on that, but I'm like not ready to it. But it's kind of like that whole Christ QRST thing.
Well, that also explains, like you just broke down about the, being on the grid. Well, I guess that makes sense why they have National Chess Day on 720.
Oh no shit! Yeah, exactly. And there's I think it's International Chess Day. There's National Chess Day, which is on October 8th. And then you think Oct, so that could all October 8th, secret 8/8. But then it's also 10/08 or 10/8, so 108, and 108 degrees is, I think, what it is for a pentagram. And also in Gematria, geometry equals 108. 108 is this very special number. So that day, it's also the Prophet Muhammad Day. It's also, I think it's International Octopus Day that day as well, on October 8th. So it's funny, that's your Cthulhu and then the chess games.
Maybe that's what Trump's got the double 8s for, to text.
Yeah, 88's crazy because there's 88 constellations, there's 88 keys on a piano. It doesn't end, and then it's like 4 pillars. If you're looking at it, it's 4 pillars as well. Wow. It's everything. Elizabeth equals 88. And then even just think the 8, the Ouroboros. So there's 2 ways to look at the 88, but like it's sad. Like again, I kind of cover the Jesus Satan kind of angle a little bit. So then we got like the Ouroboros at the 8, which is also 2 circles, right? 720 is 2 turns. So that's kind of how I found that riddle, is the 2 circles. So with that, that's like on your clock, that's the 2 12-hour segments of your day, because it goes through the 12 twice. So you also get 2 circles in time. I have a slide later that connects it to the astrology, but it either means 2 years, or it means a light and a dark side of each sign, making 24 in the astrological wheel instead of 12. Not quite sure on that. Don't take my word on that. Still cracking that code. And then with Saturn, it equals 93. It's kind of the Saturn code, as you can see there, the black cube, harvest, tonight. I included skaters just because I have that 720 thing there. It's just find a fun code. But you see the first depiction of Saturn. Well, he's holding something in all of them, but he's got the sickle, right? The sickle, like cycle, the cycles of Saturn, which is like the Ouroboros, and also the astrology wheel, just like what the loops that we're stuck in. It's also Chronos and Father Time, right? So connected to time, like the 2 cycles of the 12 that we live out in the 24-hour day. And then in the Egyptian, that's Set, like sunset. That's why I included tonight equaling 93. And like the reap, right? The reaper is for the harvest. And then think repeat, right? That's the Ouroboros, the 8, repeat, reap and eat. The snake's eating its tail. And it's Satan, Saturn, the Grim Reaper. Reap what you sow is the judgment. Are you able to reap? Are you able to, do you have plants? Do you have fruit to reap? Do you have, what's the fruits of your labor? That whole kind of thing.
You know, I think I even said to you before that, I mean, even 93 adding up with all this stuff, I mean, in my opinion, even the symbol of Thelema, it's all like, I think it's all Saturn associated. You know, I think it is pointing to that, or possibly, I think I said last time I had you on the moon in Saturn matrix. I do question if a 93 even goes into that because of the numbers of the spheres on the Tree of Life.
Yeah, definitely.
So it being associated with all that stuff makes sense to me.
Yeah, I point out Saturn a lot. There's just a little bit more Saturn stuff. It just connects because it's like the 2 sides of the Vesica Pisces as well a little bit. So Satan equals 55, and then you see at the bottom there the 2 Saturn logos beside each other. You get the 55, and then I made that as the 558, and at the top you see Saturn in Sumerian equals 558. You come across a lot of these Satan codes in the Gematria. It is the alphabet. It's like, it's Satan, Saturn. It's also like the dragon. It's the octopus. It's the crow. It's the man who can't be named, or that kind of thing too. So then we have some 55s there just to like give you 50. Like 55 could be used for good, but we're just showing you how it's used by Satan. Like time card, paid a price, nails nailed to the cross, right? Karma. That's like very Saturn energies, karmic energy.
Did you include that picture of what you made that look like when you did it, like a double image of itself and how it looked like the heart with the thing in it?
Oh, yeah.
That shit, I was like, yo,
Yeah.
I never thought of that. That's pretty fucking wild.
And then just to go down like those 93s a bit, capstone, think like crown, where's the crown? Chronos, where's the corona, the crown, the capstone. Bottles, recycle bottles, right? Recycle those bottles. We're bottled in. Is that the jar? Are we jarred in? Firmament, that whole kind of thing. Master of disguise, the covering. We also get the raven. And then I want to bring up the raven too, because it's the Coronos, right? We've been dealing with the Coronos, right? That thing. Another name for a raven or that type of species is called the corvid. It's literally the other word with the R in it. A corvid is a raven, blue jay, a crow, that kind of dark bird. Blue jays aren't dark, but it's just part of that species. But that's like the raven is a corvid. And I'm connecting the raven to Saturn, to Chronos, to the Coronos. Propaganda, management, that's also how I describe it, is like Satan's like the manager. Or if Earth is the restaurant, Satan's the manager. That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then even in the astrology, they say the sun is highest in the summer here in North America, and that would be in the sign Cancer. So, and then that means that the sun is closest in winter. And if we're to do the astrological chart like that, that would make an upside down cross. The sun is 93 million miles away. I say that that's just a code for...
Isn't Cancer the capstone too in the Freemasonry stuff?
Yeah, which is the opposite of Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. And the 93 million miles, I think that just means that everything between us and the sun is Saturn. So I think like there is still truth to it being 93 million miles away, or just how that's quite the coincidence. Mm-hmm. And then Copernicus, Capricorn ruled by Saturn. It's just very interesting how those all kind of line up in that. It's also Cthulhu, the octopus, but we get into the hex and the cube, which is related to the 720 Saturn's hexagon. They say at the North Pole of Saturn that there is a hexagon on it. Again, is that just symbolism or is that the truth? the Fibonacci sequence, we trying to crack this code. Is it the fib of no chi? Is there something suspicious about it? And then you even get that 55 right there. And then you take the first 3 digits of the golden ratio. You get the 618. Bullshit equals 618. So then I think, but that's like bail, ball shit. So it's just like, it doesn't mean that it's not real. Like, I think that the Fibonacci or that kind of thing, it's like the false reality that's on top of the reality. Therefore, it makes it the reality. Is kind of the best angle I could on that. But in the Fibonacci, and you do that, you get the flower in the flower of life. I call it the flower of lies. You can see how you can make the cube there within the like flower of life, whereas the other one, the lotus of life, is based off 12, where the flower of life is based off 6, so it's less cubey, that other image in the bottom left. But this all connects to the hex. But that's also why we like using the Fibonacci cipher, because it's like the reality on top of the reality kind of thing. It's a bit of a mind F for sure. But so the hexagon here, we have 6 angles of 120 degrees. That therefore makes 720 degrees, therefore connecting the hexagon to the 2 circles and the 720 code as well. And a hex to cast a spell. It's also witch in German. And then agon is a struggle or a conflict. So I think it's like the whole English language is a curse, that whole kind of thing. But there's good curses too. There has to be. If there's bad, then there has to be good, or vice versa. So it's just very interesting how important the 720 is, for sure. And then here's a fun one that I typed in. It was Kara Yasa Tahala equals 720 in Sumerian, and that is the 7 tones of creation. The rainbow body. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I love how that fucking hexagram adds up to 720. That's
yeah, wild. that was kind of like a little bit of icing on the cake with everything I was doing, because it makes sense, because I'm also decoding this from the Sumerian cipher, which is that 6. I like to use the Sumerian cipher a lot because of that 6. I think they know the power of that, and the 6 being the hex that is used in spell casting, because a lot of stuff I do is to point out the spell casting and kind of point out how it is the matrix.
Well, I thought what was wild is how I can't remember if you neither heard it and knew, or if maybe I mentioned it to you, but I remember I even covered Twin Peaks recently on like one of my short episodes, and I was showing on the telephone pole how it had like 720 written into it, and I was like, I know for a fact that has to be for a reason. It was just driving me nuts, and I was like, I have no idea why. Could it even just come down to like maybe that was the quality of video at the time, to where David Lynch was just trying to show like, video stuff, because he does that a lot too. But I just have a feeling that 720 was on that telephone pole that they focused on for a reason.
Of course.
Yeah, it was very weird.
It's all for a reason. It's all codes. Everything is just heavily coded. That's how I heard every building has specific measurements and stuff, because it's all codes. It's all frequency. It all keeps the frequency that we exist in, every single measurement.
So like the exact scene from The Matrix.
Basically. And you even think about, like, I just thought, as I said that to you, what popped in my head was when recording music, I have like a reverb thing I can add, and you can change the size of the room, and it creates different reverberation. And then we get verb. What's a verb? Also a word, action. Mm-hmm. So, like, yeah, everything is frequency. It would change everything if you think about it. This is just kind of channeling this kind of thought, but that is pretty interesting. But back on the 720, we got the Vesica Pisces, the 2 circles. And as you see, that's also the brain, the Jesus fish. That's a pineal gland there. Unfortunately, that pineal gland has been calcified. But we see it in the symbolism a lot. And again, it goes with that whole rockets and rockets into the moon and what the moon could represent. That's why on the right, you have those phalluses. You have those obelisks going into the Vesica Pisces.
Yeah, there's the Washington Monument.
Yeah, and that's Rome. The other one's Rome.
It's fucking wild.
Yeah, it's just a good thing to stare at. And then that's like the brain, the awakening. And then I just don't know, would that have to be the duality? Would that be the good and the bad, and finding that balance? Is that what the what that represents.
For the brain hemisphere, for the hemispheres of the brain, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
do you think that's like hemi-syncing right there?
That's exactly hemi-syncing
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
what I was thinking, yeah.
And it's like, people have said to me a couple times that they just don't really think that magic plays as big as a role as in society as we kind of talk about on the show. And they're like, you guys think that it's everywhere, but this is everywhere. And I hope that viewers can see it, because it's like, we are in a video game and magicians know the cheat codes. That's how they're able to get done so many different things that we wouldn't think of even doing, because they know the cheat code. They know the operating system.
I mean, what, fucking Jay-Z said it himself, or who was that other that fat dude that he did Devil is a Lie with? Rick Ross. One of them even said cheat code. They fucking telling you right there exactly what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to tell us. They're just telling us, but not telling us. The whole revelation of the method and that whole kind of thing. And
Yep.
this is just like a different kind of level of that, rather than just decoding movies. It's everywhere. And then even in that bottom Jesus, you have two circles in that. Very interesting, because it seems to be the two circles, the pineal gland and the 33. I think that's why they say Christ died at 33, because after the 33rd vertebrae, you get to the pineal gland. So I think that's what that means. And like the hot take, but I think the crucifixion means curse of fiction. It means like the Matrix was created, and that's what we have. And then the cross you can fold into a cube. I don't know if I have that visual, but the cross represents an unboxed cube as well. Yeah. Two circles. We also get the torus field.
Yeah, I think this is when I was like, oh fuck, I wish Lex was here for this. Because when I even saw the Vesica Pisces in the brain, I just went straight back to hemi-syncing and gateway, and I was like, oh man, Lex would have loved to see this.
Yeah, the imagery that's on screen right now is the exact imagery that they put in Gateway Project, which we've covered before. Listeners who might not have heard of it, it's the CIA's attempt, and they were successful to understanding astral travel and the true nature of the universe, and how to sync both sides of the brain. So it was a very long operation, and when you take a look at that document, what's being shown on screen is exactly what they're describing our reality to be. Again, that's not us saying it, that's the CIA saying, hey, this is what we really exist in on the low. The public thinks it's one thing, but actually this is the real deal.
100%.
Yep, I agree.
And it's all the symbolism. It's the apple, right? And that's what it's showing there. It's an apple, a bull, apple, a bull. It's all the Taurus field. Taurus matches with Saturn. I have Saturn typo, but it still would equal the same.
I even think like when you start to see it going up, like on the bottom one, I have often wondered, since Aries also starts off the zodiac, that symbol does kind of look like the Aries symbol. Is that showing you like the beginning of the coming out?
Yeah, exactly.
Going
Good,
back out.
Very great observation.
And I've also even wondered, like, when they're talking about Taurus, is that the middle part, and could you consider the outside the horse? You know?
Well, the Taurus is also the tortoise, and I kind of covered that a bit. It's like and the turtle's the earth, and represents the earth essentially. So the earth, like just like how earth and heart are an anagram, it's like the earth is kind of is going through the same thing that we are, maybe.
Yes.
And then that's why it's the apple, bit from the apple, or ate the apple from the forbidden tree of knowledge. It's even like why I think they use the symbolism in gravity. The apple fell from the tree.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. And then you think like Taurus, there's like, there's some anatomy, if you want to, in the Vesica Pisces, can you find the Taurus, right? They also have the Taurus. We have a torso, like it's in there. And then the Tor is big in the etymology because it's like computer, motor. It's everything.
I like how you have that spiral in the ear, because I've been going on for a while thinking that there's certain shit in your ear that's represented in a spiral shape too.
Yeah, and then that's even the Saturn rings of Saturn, earrings.
Was that the cochlea? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Me and Lex were even like, yo, could that be like the rings that the fucking Ark of the Covenant fucking sit in? You know what I'm saying? Like, because that could all be in your head, that Ark of the Covenant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's like it's the two bulls. So here I have the Chicago Bulls logo upside down. You can see there's a robot reading something. That's what they want. They want to keep it at base level. They don't want us expanding on it. They just want to see it as the black and white as what it is, rather than seeing it in its full everything. So that's why it's like a robot reading the Bible. The Bible is two bulls by bulls, right? So, and that's just like that's like the two circles. Think bowls as well, singing bowls, two bowls. A bowl represents a circle, representing frequency, that whole kind of thing. So it's deep, it's in everything. And then think the Bulls were known for having 2-star players, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen wore number 33. And then Jordan's just heavily coded and everything. He was called some form of Jesus, basketball Jesus, or a different word, some sort of Jesus he was considered. So we get into some gematria here. We got some 720 spell casting. I want to point out to this, and I'll have a slide on it too, that it's the 137th prime. Again, or the 137 is a 33rd prime. Sorry, and so that's just like very interesting. So I have that the 720 or the 17th that I have there is just that was from the because NY wanted some 720 codes from before on the last one, and because I found all this through the G20 summit was how I knew to go down a 720 rabbit hole. So it was the 17th G20 summit this year as well. So in the Fibonacci sequence, like it's good to like get the visual and stuff, but like Law of the Land, spell casting, Freemasonry, lunar eclipse, the flower of life, Freemasonic technology, all equals 720. Very interesting, like words to just try and process. Rune hexagons, there's your grid. Runes are made from hexagons as well. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with runes and like that whole witch kind of thing. It's like the fire letters that you can like, if you open your third eye and stuff, you can see them. You can see them on the ground, and that's why ruins are called ruins, because they hold these runes. It's like getting into like other dimensional stuff when you open your third eye and you can like look down. Sometimes you'll see some runes. I caught a rune or two before for sure. And then in the Latin one, Age of Aquarius. So like we could be seeing a lot of 720 because they also are fabricating the reality and they know about the Age of Aquarius. So they're also going to usher it in a weird way. But then it's just interesting. The all-seeing eye, I am the zodiac, Babylonian science, polarity, accept no limitations, time to fly. So that's like positive. It's like figure this out. Because I think I'm suspicious of gravity. I think that there's probably a way that we could fly or something, or you know, like that's deep. Like maybe that's end goal. Maybe that's like the end of all this. But
I had said to you before, like for me, because buying or believing the whole idea of the Saturn Moon matrix, I could see how gravity is actually an issue. Like to me, I think it's something that's keeping us in the matrix. Actually.
Yeah, I don't have. I included that on your show. I don't have these slides with me today. I might be able to like load them up or something. But I do a lot of decoding on gravity and all these gravity codes. Because there's more codes hidden within this than we think, and its purpose is all just keep this reality intact. It's like I've seen the simulation, some of the stuff that I've like gone down, and the gravity stuff was really hard because they think spellcasting. So if I'm looking up all these words that represent gravity, gravity was really dragging me down when I was trying to like gather all that kind of intel for sure. So these are some main ones in the Sumerian cipher for that 720. And if maybe I'll just let you guys look at it and see if there's any that stick out or that kind of thing, and then I can kind of cover them as well.
Black Mirror. That's
and that's what I say. The flower of life is. The flower of life is the Black Mirror.
Bronze on. I thought was interesting.
The very bottom, Illuminati.
Communism, Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Is that Satanism in this? I can't quite tell. That's what it's called.
Female.
Yeah. Jehovah, Pandora,
Saturday.
Doomsday, Satanism. Yeah.
The North Pole is interesting.
Yeah, and then you think,
and then the eclipse.
Too.
I remember the eclipse. I thought was
the North Pole of Saturn is a hexagon, and the North Pole, and that's in reversed. But in reversed, it equals the same as, it equals a 720. And then Saturn Day, Cernunnos, and then I see how Kanye West and Cernunos match. I think that's what why CERN is named that, because it's Cernunos. So every time we see Kanye West, we're just activating the CERN, whatever that is.
Fuck. Imagine that shit. Because that if that actually did work, that would make sense of like why people just do the dumbest shit, just to get people to talk about them.
Yeah. But even you could look at it, it's like, oh, you become the Grand Master, you become aware of the systems, which then gives you that Masonic logic through your initiation into whatever, like it's just how those codes work, and you can kind of tell it through that. It's very interesting. Oh, I have crickets, so I included crickets on the right there. And then the reduction 33 as well, which is a match with arsenic, the 33rd element, but cricket, that's why they want to see crickets, because I think it represents that 33. And it's also Jiminy Cricket. It's that JC. And Jiminy Cricket kind of represents a Christ figure a bit in that. And the cricket is connected to the scarab beetle, or beetles in general, because beetles also don't fly, they hover. Same like a cricket or a grasshopper or something like that. And the scarab beetle is connected to scarab, like carab. In Egyptian, the scarab beetle does represent Cancer. And the scarab beetle is the skull. I don't know if scarab beetle slides here, but the scarab beetle is also the skull. And that its lines on it represent the skull, and it's at the top of the astrological wheel. You always see the Cancer. At the top of the Masonic arc, you always see the sign Cancer as well. So that's like also what the cricket represents. They like want you to eat enlightenment instead of get enlightenment. So I think that there's symbology behind why they want to see crickets, and I think it has to do with Christ. They want us to eat Jesus.
It would be interesting to take a look at the because both beetles and crickets are insects that create sound, right?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to take a look at the frequencies that the sounds are being emitted from those animals.
That's really good. Yeah, from just the flapping of the wings.
Yeah. Like think about it, like a roach doesn't make a noise, so it's like these some Madagascar species, but North American ones don't. But yeah, it would be interesting to see.
I think bees even, someone had mentioned to me that, like, if a bee was to come back to the hive, and let's say that might have been something off, like maybe it was sick or picked up something, the bees will surround it and start to flap its wings at a certain speed to actually induce a fever on the other bee and help actually get rid of whatever it had. I was like, what the fuck? That has to do with some type of vibration frequency. I think
100%. And that's what
that's
also
true.
That's also what the scarab beetle's representing too, then, for sure. And it pushes. It's also kind of like the dung beetle. It pushes a ball up a hill, so it's like climbing the mountain. And then if you think it was at the top of the astrological wheel, it's kind of at the top of the mountain. That's the Cancer, the scarab, the carab. And in circles, like if we're decoding the Vesica Pisces and circles and turns and stuff, circles equals 720 in reverse. Right, and then Atlantis connects because I got to bring up the dolphins eventually a bit, and then the female, like its female anatomy. It's very interesting how this all deja vu. Oh, I saw the same circle. I saw the same thing happen again. I witnessed the same cycle. Right, you saw the same pattern again. Therefore, that connects with the 720 meaning of that. And then witch, how I said it's the hex and the hexagon. Witch in standard is 720. So we got on a little Vesica Pisces decode a bit, and in Fibonacci, it's a match with Satan, which is just ridiculous. Then it's the Christo, which is the Christos, right? The awakening of the pineal gland. When you open your pineal gland, it releases a fluid. That fluid is the Christos, the Crisco, the Lord, the Lard, all that stuff. That N word is I don't know if we could say that word or not, but the NAZI word also equals that, right? That shows up in all the hijack symbolism and all that. So that first one's very interesting in Fibonacci. That whole slide is very interesting.
That has been getting tossed around a lot lately, too. Just going back to that whole other thing about how just people's names or phrases maybe might be feeding stuff.
And how Kanye versus the 720.
Both pushing that one pretty hard.
Connect that to the Vesica Pisces, and now he's talking about that N word, the other N word, and then how it's connected there. And then in primes, you know, I'm talking about the mind. So Vesica Pisces in primes, not just mind control. June 6th is interesting because that's 6/6. That's just an interesting number. And that's the 157th day of the year, which is 1.57 is half of pi, 3.14 divided by 2, pi representing a circle. So 314 is also a circle code. So that representing half of the turn is very interesting because we'll get to the 1080s, because 1080 times or divided by 6 is 180. 180 also would represent the same as 157 because they're both two half of a circle. They represent half of a circle. So that's why I included June 6th. Amazon Prime, they have a Medusa thing. I have some Medusa connections as well. That's the only reason I included that, because they have the Medusa commercial. And Medusa, right, turn you to stone. That's where algo is, the star algo, which is where we get the word alcohol and potentially algorithm from, right? It's a star in the head of Medusa. And that's why I included that Amazon Prime. South Pole, I don't know. It's just very interesting how this all works.
Yeah, you had the North Pole before, now you have the South Pole.
Yeah, exactly. And then solar eclipse matches with Vesica Pisces, which then you're getting the solar eclipse. That means that it still has to do with the sun and the moon.
Digital money. 84. You got the 8 and that 4 again.
Yeah, 1984. It's a big one. That was Michael Jordan's draft year even. But 84, and like I always said, how it's the 127, the 369, and then the 8 and the 4. So whenever the 84 shows up, I usually include it. And then I think
you know what's weird too? The World Cup right now. If you were to put that on and look at the scoreboard, the star that's in the middle of it, I'm almost positive is like the Micmac medicine wheel. It's a Native American medicine wheel. It's even a symbol I've seen on fucking magic books. But it's 4 arms. It's a 4-armed cross, but there's 2 points at the end. So technically you have a 4-armed cross, but 8 points. So you have that 4 and that 8 again.
Yeah.
As a symbol between the scores of the games.
And then even to just to deep go down the 8-4 a bit. 8 is like material world. It's Saturn's number. It's like it is the material manifestation number. It's the material world. It's the meat suit. It's the Ouroboros. It is everything. And then 4 is the mind. So it's like your thoughts create your reality kind of thing, or it's like the mix of like the materials of the world mixed with like the concept of your mind, or understanding that in your mind. So for 48 and 84, 48 would be like your mind turning something material, and then the other 84 would be like the material influencing your mind rather. And then 84 too, vampire equals 84. I think it's pretty vampiric. It's the same thing. It's the snake. It's everything. It's the fangs. It's no different. It's part of the same. It's Satan, and just another name for that. Like thousand named person, and that's even, I think, goes with the gravity, because I think the gravity is more of a vacuum. The sucking, vampires suck. That whole kind of thing. It's parasites too, parasitic. The parasites suck on you. It's the same kind of thing. So the 84 is just very interesting in that regards. But then we get the Tree of Life, Bohemian Grove. Like it's just very interesting.
Tuesday.
And then Taco Tuesday, that's like spellcasting. So LeBron James is known for being like Taco Tuesday. That's like his thing. And
he's definitely talking about
like,
the Vesica Pisces with that.
Yeah, exactly. He's shouting that 100%. That dude is very coded and everything. So yeah, he's definitely shouting out the Vesica Pisces, and that he's probably fully aware of the spell casting with that. The number 31, cube equals 31. I think like the cube, I talk a lot about the cube. It's the ice cube. So freezing point in Fahrenheit is 32. That's 0. That's your 0 point. Meet at the level point. Is that why 32 degree is such a big thing for the stone cutters, right? Because that's your 0 point in Fahrenheit. And the fact that cube equals 31, that's your first degree below freezing point.
Yo, I've even thought
Celsius at 0, so that's 1 degree below 0.
I even thought that the rapper Ice Cube's name had stuff to do with this. To be totally honest with you.
Exactly. He put out a tweet about the cube. He's like, no, the cube's good. So that's what I think the cube represents, is the ice cube. That's why it equals 31. And you see a lot of 31s and all that. And then 31, there's 7 months out of the year have 31 days. all those little squares on the calendar, the little boxes. It's all part of the cube.
You know what's interesting? If you think about a 32-degree Freemason, that would be a freezing point too here.
Exactly. That's it. Freezing, and then 33 you're 1 degree above, and 31 you're 1, and then all the other degrees are below, all the way to 0. So it's like below the surface. I think hell's cold. It's why it's cold in the winter. That's Saturn's season. Hell is cold. Warm.
Sometimes I think
warmth
that's
is good,
almost...
right? You want to be warm. Oh, that dude's cold, or be like, oh, that's a really warm giving person, or like, oh, that dude's cold, right? That kind of thing.
I've often wondered if it's like kind of like an alchemical interpretation, or like a way to explain. Like, I just just my opinion, my theory. I don't think we normally walk around hemisynced. You know what I'm saying? That's not like that area of our brain, or bringing those energies to that area of the brain has not been done maybe ever for somebody, or maybe a few times, not even realizing in their life. That area has no energy and no electricity going through it. It's cold as fuck. But once you start bringing the heat and start bringing the electricity in your body and start to hemisync, then you melt the ice with the fire. You get the steam. I actually think it might be something just like that.
Yeah. Well, and then think that, when we talk about the heart, mind, and the will, or the action, that's the reason why fire is representative of action, and cold is the lack of action.
That's exactly what I thought.
Or movement or friction, yeah.
Yeah, you haven't had too much movement going on in that area of your brain. So, like I could see that as being considered ice. The atoms aren't moving, so they're frozen.
Yeah.
And if you have kind of like, spiritually speaking, if you have darkness on you or whatever, you're not, that's kind of that paralysis, that life paralysis, where it's like hard to move forward, that depression, that darkness, that deep rest. You rest in the winter. And then we think that that's like why we get the cube and the flower of life and all that stuff, is like, it's almost like it's the geometry's frozen a bit, and that's why we get the cube a bit. It's supposed to be this like ever-flowing thing, but they paused it slightly and created this thing called time, or something going on there. That's like a deep thought, but that's kind of, as I describe the cube to many people that know about it or don't, is like that I think it's kind of like this gematria slowed down. And that's what the cube, the matrix is like that. And that's why I think that we're able to exist the way that is, but we don't need to get into like a deep reality kind of thing, although this is also decoding reality. But I think the ice cube kind of represents geometry frozen slightly, or slowed down. And then you think lower frequency, higher frequency. A lower frequency is a more slowed down wave, and a higher frequency is a higher wave. So maybe we're slowed down to a certain frequency that creates the cube, and we're stuck in the frequency.
Because it would be, there's less peaks on lower 10. So, I get exactly what you're saying. So it's representative of more action, the higher frequency that you go up. Mm-hmm. And if you look at where we are on the tree of life, we're at the bottom. So that would make perfect sense as to why, that would be representative of cold or non-movement, because, the plane that we are on is frozen in time. It's at the very bottom, lack of action, lack of escape.
Did you ever see how, like, sometimes I've seen it in some lodges, or you'll see it in pictures or designs, they won't have, like, the typical checkered floor. It's almost like a diamond design with the black and white, though, where it almost looks like a checkered floor, but it's just diamonds doing it.
It's the hexes?
Well, no, it's like a regular diamond.
Oh, diamond.
And I've even thought, like, is that just showing a condensing of that, like, kind of square sign? Is it really just showing a condensing of the peaks? Like, they're coming closer together. As crazy as it sounds.
Yeah, I think so. It's diamonds made from pressure, condensing. It represents made under the pressure. It's like if the firmament or that kind of thing exists, it's like fermenting under pressure.
Press coal, you get a diamond, and then that could even be representative of Kether.
And then you get the coal. Now we're into the Santa, Satan. You get the coal, or you get the presence, right? It's the symbology's all there. So this slide, 720 in Roman numerals is DCCXX. And so when I type that into the calculator, DCCXX equals 58. And since I'm all talking about the zodiac equals 58. calendar equals 58, loop equals 58, rune equals 58, 2 equals 58, like the 2 circles. And then you see how banking's connected to that. Hammer, remember the hammer symbolism that was used not that long ago. Phone, claws, Santa Claus, emerald. I think I have more emerald tablets show up a few bit. I included corn just because it's fun. But pi phi too, right? Like your circle going through the Fibonacci. Phi is the golden ratio of the Fibonacci, same kind of thing. So that's just very interesting that the 720 in Roman numerals just connects to everything that we're talking about. And then this G20 summit little Aaron Carter thing on the side, Vesica Pisces spelled Vesica Pisces, an older way to spell it. We get that 271 part of that connection there with the 172, 271, any combination of those 3 numbers. This is very interesting when those show up because that's the grid. So they're used a lot. I don't do a lot of murder by number stuff. It's bad juju, so I don't cover that a bunch. But in a match with that at the very bottom, we get Medusa, and Aaron Carter passed, and he's a match with Bali, Indonesia, where the G20 summit was, and G20 with what it was, and he has a Medusa tattoo on his face.
Oh man.
Ooh.
And 271 is interesting because it's the 58th prime number, which is 720 in Roman numerals into the Gematria calculator. It's a lot of red threads on this one, but it's just that's how this matrix operates. So it appears.
It reminds me so much, dude, and why of the stuff that I've been reading in the series that we're about to cover, because more or less at the very end, the story goes that God comes back to Earth, and there's this giant cube that comes out of the sky, and it's got it's a perfect cube apparently, but it's transparent. And this is like the new Jerusalem, or the new city for all those who were loyal to God. And so many of the numbers that we're talking about now are in the measurements of this city, and even down to like the people, the amount of angels that are guarding the city. It's crazy stuff, man.
A new cube. I was like, I have tons of new cube codes. Just playing around with it. It was just like a new Tesseract. Where cube's gonna need a redo. It was like all these kind of fun redo codes that I found that matched. So there is something to that, and maybe that's what it is. That's kind of what I think it is that there's going to be a reset button on this matrix or something, and they've done it before. I think it's all going according to their plan, and it's this long played out plan. And that's why I also talk about the turtle, because I think that they just take their time and they use the grid, and like that's what the turtle represents, the grid. I have some slides on that later, but they just really take their time, but they I don't know. I think that they're trying to bring a bit of hell and chaos on Earth so that something good can come of it. They know that, that's what I explain the apocalypse as, is it's a rebalance, that nature is always going to rebalance its environment. It's no different than a weed or a grass or a flower or anything growing through the concrete. Nature always finds a way, and there's always going to be a force behind it. Yeah. So that's what I think that's why I think that they're doing all these dark things to this planet, is so that they can create some sort of catalyst or something like that creates that switch, that new cube kind of thing, essentially.
Still trying to keep us grounded.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so here it is: 7 angels, 7 vials, 7 plagues, right? And then this giant city descends down. It has 12 angels and 12 gates. It's named after the 12 tribes of Israel. There's 3 south gates. There's 3 north gates.
Yeah, I was
crazy.
even thinking about that. I was like, there was certain stuff in there. I think I had said to you, I was like, you probably even started playing around with Gematria if I have a fuck ton of
yeah.
shit. So yeah.
Right, because you got 12 tribes, but you reduce that, and that's going to be 3
again. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's also another form of numerology. I'm not well versed in it yet, but it's base 12, because 12 is more the math of the universe, and the standard numerology might be more of that matrix kind of thing. So there is base 12 numerology, but it's weird. I couldn't really give you the lowdown on that. Just not prepared for that. But it's something it's worth looking into. It's like you can get a simple book on it kind of thing. Or
well, that's really, really interesting, dude, that you just said that, because here when it's talking about the measurements of the new cube, right?
Yeah.
It's 12. There's 12 ways. Like the 7th is crystalline, the 8th is beryl, the 9th is topaz, et cetera, but ends on 12 being amethyst. So this is like what these different jewels or this new cube looks like. So it's weird. It's like if you have this type of numerology that's based around 12, maybe it's connecting to what's being said here about the new reality is based around a different set of numbers.
A different
and
code,
then even
maybe.
like some of the stuff I'm doing, those 720 codes are the 120. 120 is still 12. So like, because that's 720 is 120 times 6, so 72 would be your 12 times 6. But with the 12, right? It's 12 months of the year, 12 astrological cycles, the clock cycles of 12, your day and night. The 12 is used in everything. It's a lot of 7s and 12s for sure. 7 days of the week, obviously. But
yeah, the tree of life, 12 spheres. I mean, most will say, it's 11, but
12 disciples, disciples, more circle. All right, next one. So these are some of those 137s, just kind of some random 137s, but this one's used a lot because it's a 33rd prime, and we know the 33rd is important. We know they use the 33 a lot, or just like the importance of that. I was also taught to it as like it's the highest numerical frequency before heaven, which makes sense with how I said it's a 33 vertebrae, and then after that is the pineal gland, that enlightenment, the heaven, head is the heaven. So it's the highest frequency before that enlightenment, or before that getting into heaven kind of thing, which means getting into that enlightenment. So I think that's why the 33 and why I died at 33, they want to keep us out of the pineal gland, and they want to control our pineal gland, control our mind, right? So my mind control is a match with Vesica Pisces. But the 720, just because of spell casting, you can take a look at some of those. Those are some 137s that stand out. But again, yeah, mind control also matches the spell casting.
Yeah,
and then
emerald tablets.
Toilet paper.
Yeah, and we saw some shit with toilet paper not too long ago.
Saw some shit with toilet paper.
Yeah.
paper ballots is a match with toilet paper, right? You know,
it's basically the same thing.
Your
I'll
shit
just use it to
tickets.
wipe your ass.
Yeah. And then the royal flush again. The flush. What's a flush?
The black box alchemy. Black box alchemy. That's interesting. It's like the Cuban.
But see how they use it? They call it a royal flush. And the royalty sits on the throne. What else is a throne? And you can flush. There's a certain throne, that you flush. It's the royal flush. They sit above us and shit on us. That's the whole Baal shit. That whole kind of thing too. Because that's what I think. They're just bored and they just shit on us. They just had to do all this stuff. Because they know they have the cheat code. So they're like, what cheat code do you want to run today on the video game?
Yeah, for real. I mean, and it's exactly the way it is.
It sounds silly, but it could really be the truth.
Yeah.
This is 2 circles.
Nice.
This has to do with the eclipse. This is just interesting numerology, but the fact that the election and the eclipse was on 11/8, November 8th, 118. There's also 118 elements on the periodic table. I don't know if that included on the slide, but that just adds to this 118 number. So from 3/11/2020, I don't know if you guys were there for that, but that's the day the world changed forever. That's the day that the WHO made it 2020 official, was on 3/11, which they used. I got rabbit holes down how it's the Kobe 19 and all his codes, because Kobe Bryant equals 113, and how it's just how deep it goes. Like he was buried in Corona Del Mar. Like it doesn't end with the Kobe. But so the WHO made it official on 3/11. And then so from that day until January 18th, 2020, which is 118, is 1 year and 314 days. So we see how 1 year is obviously represents a circle. That's the sun going, or the earth going around the sun, or however it works, right? That's 1 year represents one circle, one cycle. 314 pi 314 also represents one circle. So 1 year and 314 days from the start of that to January 18th, 118. On that day in astrology, the north node moved into Taurus and the south node moved into Scorpio. The north nodes are whatever the north nodes are in, are what the eclipse is going to be. So if the north, right now the north node's in Taurus, so that means that on the lunar eclipse that the full moon will be in Taurus, and the south node is in Scorpio, meaning that on the lunar eclipse the sun will be in Scorpio as well. It has to do with the ecliptics. So the day that switched to it was the same numerology as the day that the eclipse was on, which is just ridiculous. And they had the election and they used all that. And that was exactly 42 weeks, and we're in a 42 year. They use this 42 code like crazy. Even Brittany Griner wears number 42.
Yeah, you know what I thought was wild too? I don't know if you can see the screen locks up there. It says January 18th, whatever, 2022. Now you have this date of 118. It says this means the nodes enter at 29 degrees, 59 minutes, 59 seconds. You add the 59 minutes and the 59 seconds together, you get 118 again.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Very interesting. And that just adds to the 59 codes. I have some on that. It's kind of like the game. It has to do with the game, so that makes sense. And then the other name for the nodes is Rahu and Ketu, and it's like you see the little logo on the cobra there. It's like the snake of the moon, essentially. So Rahu, the head, Ketu, the tail. And that's a match with G20, which is like how I came to all this stuff in primes, Rahu and Ketu.
That's even like that spiraled snake eating itself again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just snake symbolism in general. The moon. Yeah, it's just crazy. That's all connected. But obviously they're doing something if that is two circles that lines up to that day, which lines up to when the election was held. And then I also heard a lot of like, oh, what's your read on that? I know a lot of astrologers that say that it's not good to manifest on the eclipses. So maybe they know that. Maybe they know it's bad to manifest on the eclipse. So they used it knowing that it's not a good day to manifest. Maybe they want stuff to get a little shaky. So this is, when we were playing around with this was my boy Resident Properties made this. We were playing around with the two astrological wheels trying to figure out that mystery. And this was one thing we came to, where we put them together to create the Vesica Pisces. So what you have there that's really cool is within that's a rhombus. That's also like one side of the cube. But what you see inside there, the four signs not scratched out in the corners of all that, you get Scorpio, Aquarius, Leo, and Taurus. Those are the four fixed signs. Scorpio's the eagle as well. So biblically, that's your eagle. Aquarius, the man, the lion, and the bull.
Yeah, isn't
So
that
it's
on
also
tarot
connected
cards?
biblically.
Lux too?
Yeah, that's on is that the world card?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. And then on the inside part there,
yeah, this is why I said I think the Wheel of Fortune might actually only be 8 slices, because it's really only showing 8 zodiacs in this.
yeah, I don't have those there, but my boy Resident Properties has some 8 slided kind of signs. He has a lot of artwork on this kind of stuff. It's really cool. The inside part of that, we get Aries and Libra. That's your Alpha and Omega. The Libra sign is like the Omega sign. And it's also in astrology, you have Aries that it begins on the left and then it goes across to Libra at the end. So it represents the top half of the chart that in astrology, that's like character development. The bottom half's the journey. So it's like the light. If the chart was like a yin yang, the Aries to Libra, the Alpha to Omega would be the top half, the light, the daytime. And then the bottom signs, the signs from, Scorpio to Pisces would be the dark. That's your journey, rather, as well. But then back to that middle part, You have the Virgo and Pisces as well. Virgo's the healer, and Pisces is the fish. So we have the Alpha, the Omega, the fish representing Jesus, and the Virgo, the virgin, birth from a virgin, and Virgo is also the healer. And then we also have the 4 fixed signs and the 4 beasts as well. Very interesting. And then it's also, he looks like an owl. And then you think it looks like an owl with its mouth open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that before. I was like, holy shit, it looks like a bird with its beak open. That's fucked out.
And the rhombus is really important. You'll hear it in codes. Rhombus backwards is submarine. We all live in a yellow submarine, which is then that's the Beatles, right? Beatles and that symbolism. They said they're bigger than Jesus, or whatever, right? And the beetle and the Enlightenment and that kind of thing. But and the cricket. But the rhombus too, backwards Samar. A lot of times you'll hear these gatekeepers or whatever. They'll talk about time travel and they'll say it's like you're in a submarine and you're able to shift timelines through the submarine. This is exactly what they're referring to as the rhombus. It's a submore. It has to do with that. It's so there's something to that, and that's connected to the third eye, and the geometry there, and even we get that from that. And the rhombus is still the 120 degrees. So that's 4, or no, but the 2 angles on the left and the right angles are 120 degrees. Same as the hexagon. I'm not the rhombus expert as far as geometry. I have got to the submarine through like meditation and stuff. I didn't change timelines because whatever timeline this is on, kind of whatever. And then on the bottom right there, again, you have the 118 showing. So what that is those are the 4 fixed signs. That is the 2nd sign Taurus, the 5th sign Leo, the 8th sign Scorpio, and the 11th sign Aquarius. And I guess we can go to the next slide here. So when we look at the 2 and the 5, it's very interesting because if we take that Saturn logo and we reverse it, how the Saturn's the 5, we get the 2. And when we put those together, we get the Sacred Heart. We get the Sacred Flame. We get the Christ. Mm-hmm. Very interesting. And then the 118 is interesting too. It's the because 11 is the number of magic. It also represents the letter K. So it's very, very interesting that that's there, and it's connected to Aquarius. And then the 118, it's like through Scorpio, which is death, and 8, it's like kind of it represents death and rebirth. That we get to the age Aquarius, the 11, go from the 8 to the 11, and then 11 times 8, there's your 88. That just adds to the 88s as well. You can play around with these 4 numbers quite a bit. It's very interesting. And then 11 times 5, 55. It's also the 10th Fibonacci number and 10th triangular number. And then you could do 2 times 5 is 10. Like you can really play around with these numbers. It's really cool, really interesting stuff. Again, this is like what we're discovering. I don't know if there is the answer. I think it's just about observing it all and enjoying the beauty of the matrix.
Yeah, I thought this was a good one when I saw it last time. It was pretty interesting.
Oh, so now we're getting into the 1080s. And shout out to my dolphins. I got the dolphin logo. Didn't even know. And I reached some sort of dolphin enlightenment. I don't know if I have time to go down that rabbit hole, but I essentially turned into a dolphin in like this vision and lived a full life as a dolphin and had this like crazy awakening, and it all had to do with this dolphin thing. So it was, and this was, I already had dolphins in my like contemporary problems logo and all that. So I didn't know the significance of it, but I knew that there was significance to it. And then I also thought it was funny because dolphins, a group of dolphins is called a pod. So it's like podcasting. I'm like, boom, there we go. Get the dolphins going too, right? So we know how the brain, the human brain on the left is the vesica Pisces. Notice how the dolphin brain has a large cerebellum at the bottom, kind of giving it the 3 circles a little bit. And it's called the cerebellum. Dolphins are called bulls, calves, and cows as well. And then dolphins also heal with frequency, since we're talking about the healing frequency and all that, right? Because think if 720 is 2 circles, 1080 is 3 circles. So then we get that dolphin brain. How we create that in our brain, the dolphin brain creates the triquarta is one word I called it. There's another one I couldn't find the correct spelling. It was getting weird on me, but it's like the Triveca Pisces, I think is the name of it. So just like stare at that, let that sink in a bit. So that's how we go from the 720 to the 1080, even just staring at that. Our brain, we are in 720 and the 1080 is the dolphin frequency.
That's what the guy was saying on Led Zeppelin 4 album with the symbols. Wasn't that the one? Wasn't that one of them used? I think
so. And I have a whole episode on it, but then again, yeah, we have the Celtic knot, the triquarta. We see that a lot, representing that. And then they say, was Ireland connected to Atlantis? Dolphins connected to Atlantis. Something's going on there. And like the Druids, like how we know it's Hollywood comes from the tree for the wand and like all that, how it's like it all goes back to the Druids, a lot of it. So yeah, that is crazy going from the 720 to the 1080. These are just like some dolphin slides or whatever I pulled. I did a whole episode. I called it Contemporary Dolphins, where I go about that, and it's funny because it just like tells the stories. I just list off tons of dolphin facts and connect it all. So dolphin is originates from the Greek word brother. So it's like our helper. There's many dolphin stories. I don't have them all in here, but I do have a full dolphin episode you can check out on my podcast, where I talk about all the different stories and different religions. But essentially the story of the Rainbow Bridge, which has to do with Turtle Island, which has to do with there's many different stories of it in different cultures, the Rainbow Bridge. But essentially if you don't make it across the Rainbow Bridge, you fall off into the waters and you turn into a dolphin, and then you have to complete the journey across the waters as a dolphin. So maybe in my enlightenment, that's what I did, is I fell off the Rainbow Bridge and had to like do the journey as a dolphin. And then you think of one that I wish I'd included in here is the book with the Manly P. Hall and like the egg, the earth, and it has the rainbow going from the bottom to the top. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Right. So there's that rainbow symbolism again. Dolphins and frequency, they use sound waves for their prey. They use it to heal each other. Same kind of thing as the bees. They can have healing frequency. There was the dude, Igor Charkowski, that was doing dolphin-assisted births, doing the frequency where they could tell exactly how far you were in your gestation. So you just go float in the ocean, and they would just like, they could detect exactly where your body was. And then like dolphin also meaning fish with a womb, right? So they're connected to that. They're connected to the womb, so they're dialed into that. They really can pick up on that. And that dude got in a lot of trouble for doing all these dolphin-assisted births. And they would release certain frequencies dependent on your where you were in your gestation.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it all comes back to the dolphins apparently. And then it's Delphinus, even the constellation is in the sign, or it's in the group that is in the sign Aquarius as well. And that's just a little dolphin with the cross symbolism there. Because even a dolphin, if you're to like think of it flat, well, a lot of animals do, but a dolphin has the cross as well within it. That's how I draw my tarot cards. I have a little dolphin draw with like different, each point means something different. So then here's like a little bit of turtle code. I just thought some turtle codes a bit, like the turtle grid. Like you can see how the turtle shell is a hexagon there, and then it's connected to the cube, and the turtle shell is actually yellow. That's why it's follow the yellow brick road. It's the grid. It's the ley lines. And then it's just like, this is just a confusing gematria post I made, mocking that the earth is flat, matches with earth is a sphere, that matches with turtle shell, that matches with it's a cube world, and the clown earth kind of thing. Is that it's like it's all of it, it's all encompassing of all of it. I'm not like claiming, oh, it's turtle, here's some codes or whatever. It's just kind of like
reptilian blood.
It's all of it. And this 152 code here is just, the turtle shell code is quite the code for sure. I think I have more on the next slide, but that's essentially what I think the Turtle Island represents, is that kind of grid system.
One thing that I wanted to point out real quick, again, just because we've been studying so much this Revelation stuff, that what you just described of the Rainbow Bridge, and it's exactly represented in Revelation too, because it says that there was a throne and there was a sea of glass unto crystal, but there was a throne, right? And like there's this body of water separating them, and then there's the rainbow around the throne, and next to the throne it had a sight unto emerald, sort of like making it to the Emerald City, huh?
Yeah.
That's why I think
And
the
then-
table's green in fucking Twin Peaks whenever they fucking get into that, you know, weird room. I think it's supposed to be emerald, and I think it's for that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the Emerald Tablets codes do show up.
Yeah,
I'm
so it's
pretty
the same exact thing that you just were describing represented there.
Yeah, and then rumor has it that the Rainbow Bridge has been cut off. So maybe during my Enlightenment experience, maybe there is no Rainbow Bridge option at all. And it's like we just go full dolphin if we can figure out how Enlightenment works for us.
I was like looking through here to see if there were any dolphins in Revelations.
Yo,
Yeah,
that would have been weird.
Oh yeah, just double checking.
That would have been weird in just many levels.
Yeah,
Like out of all things to be mentioned in Revelations, a dolphin pops up.
they got tons of different animals, but yeah, no dolphin.
So these all match with turtle shell, which is very interesting because it's like the King James Bible, the all-seeing eye, the tribe of Judah, the secret garden. Like it's quite the code
Lost
for sure.
sheep,
The Milky Way,
Way.
work matrix.
Babylon Tower,
Yeah.
foot and mouth. The two lamps.
Yeah. Walked on water, V for Vendetta. Does it
Do not
stone
come
tablets? There you go.
Jimi
The
Hendrix.
lost sheep.
Hit the switch. They're like reset. Calculate gematria. That's what we're doing here. Prophetic math. That'll kind of thing. And then the one at the bottom, and I have a bunch of weird ciphers there because I was creating a lot of my own, but this website got shut down. And then someone sent me a link to something similar that I might be able to like get a lot of my data saved for. But when I was looking deep into these, there was only one code that matched with turtle shell the most, and that was do not comply. So that's just very interesting. So shout out, like, I think we got to do not comply to fight for the turtle grid. Because essentially, like, the turtle grid is like the ley lines and all that. And it's supposed to be the harmony, the honeycomb, the six. The six represents harmony, and the honeycomb, and the bees have the nice buzz and the vibration and the honey. But essentially, it's like that got taken over by the wasps. So there's not as much honey. And essentially what they did is like they 5 the 6. They pentagoned the hexagon. They pentagrammed the hexagon. They put the 5 energy on top of the 6. And that's why we have all the pentagon symbolism and all the star symbolism and all that, because 5 is the dissonance and the chaos and the nature. And they put that on top of what's supposed to be the harmony and order to everything. So they're creating the chaos through that. And even with that, the 5th sign, Leo, that's like connected to the demiurge as well, because it's like at the top of the astrology chart too. That's Leo to Capricorn, and then Capricorn ruled by Satan, Saturn. That could also be the snake. So you have Leo to the snake, and it's also on the astrology wheel. That's the going from the top down to the bottom. The sun is now waning, so it's like on its way down, which is just interesting. And then a funny decode with that, if they use celebrities and all that, is Leo DiCaprio. Right, Leo to Capricorn, Leo DiCaprio, the demiurge.
Wow.
And the demiurge is just kind of that like chaos energy, just like
Wow.
where's the next party kind of energy.
That's funny because I even like just even the thing in Twin Peaks when I showed like they were driving somewhere and I really felt like it was like they were kind of in the chariot and they were like drinking and they stopped when they realized Leo was home. And that kid Bobby was not taking the girl from the diner to our house because Leo was there. And it just, it's just, I even think like the name was a play off of that shit.
Yeah, I mean, especially think about how many of these, like, actors in Hollywood, they'll have really strange names. Probably not by accident. I mean, some of that's probably, intentional and has some type of magical influence over what they've adopted as their name or their sigil, right?
Exactly.
I mean, like Joaquin Phoenix. Like, come on, that's
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes people be like, "Oh, can you run the numbers on like or like the FTX or whatever?" Like, "Oh, can you run the numbers on Bankman?" I'm like, "You don't have to. His last name is Bankman."
exactly.
That's funny.
That kind of thing. So they do use that a lot for sure. It's Billy Goat portals, right? Bill Gates, Billy Goat portals, Gates portals, the Billy Goat, that kind of thing. Yeah, they use it in all those kind of names for sure, and they use it to mock us if you're not aware of that.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of a good example, but that's just kind of one. So these are
Little Uzi Vert's a good one.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Leo DiCaprio, the Demiurge thing. I think there's something there. Another one was Heidi Klum was the worm, and the worm is connected to the plumed serpent, and like there's a decode on that. So that's like the joke on that post was like the plumed serpent, because it's all the parasites. It's the worm to the snake to the dragon. Like there's something going on with these. With this worm, squiggly, and snake symbolism and everything, and they're all connected. We don't have time to go down that, but that was just like another one. So this was Triquartza and some matches. And this is very interesting that it matches with 432, a frequency. That's what they say that we're supposed to be on, and they switched it to 440. So all music's now in 440 when they say that it should be 432. There's lots of math with the pyramids in 432. You can get to 432. Don't have it. I'm not the mathematician figuring this out, but you can essentially the three pyramids. One is in meters, one is in inches, and one is in a different measurement, and they all equal 432 respectively in each pyramid in the different measurements. So so just looking at these that match with that, there we go, emerald tablets, and then three in a row, three circles, right? Three in a row. That's like your three circles in a row. But then we get false reality, the US dollar, round two, which, that's kind of like the, it's funny that heavyweight and round two fit in there, but round two has to do with the two circles, but speculative and false reality. That's what we're trying to point out here. And come into these codes through the Triquartza. I'm trying to find more 432 codes because money equals 432. Monday equals 432. And there's pyramids on the money, and they're connected to the 432, and money equals 432. Very interesting.
I didn't even think of that.
I have a post on it, but it's a reel, so it's like I can't find the slides for it. That was like one of the last things I was trying to collect with it. But then I also have these, the 129s, because that's what Triquartza equals is 129 on the right there. And that's funny because we just had 12-9. And 12-9 is also, it was International Clown Day or something like that. It was some sort of clown day on 12-9. And it's just funny that it's a match with Freaky Friday.
Oh, God, I used to have a show called that.
And it was on a Friday this year, which was funny. So we get electricity, that's important. It's the energy. Intuitive, no stress in your heart, love and light. These are more positive
Fire
codes.
Spirit, that's interesting.
Pitch perfect.
Just
then we're seeing how it's dolphin. This represents in the dolphin, and the dolphins also represent the frequency because they speak in frequencies and can give us healing frequencies and all that.
Orion's belt, love and light.
Yeah.
Nice.
Even see, I was just like, there's just so much it doesn't end. Like it's a quick Google, but in the Chinese sign for medicine and the Chinese sign for music there's only one slight difference to it in one of their languages. The symbol for it is there's only one. There's an extra line in the difference. It's the difference between music and the difference between medicine. So it's like how much of healing has to do with frequency. And then if you think about that, and even the past few years, if it kept you in a lower frequency, you were probably more likely to like be spiritually affected, more likely to like have bad frequencies enter you. But if you're in a high frequency, then I think that there's something to that. I think that there's something spiritually connected to sickness.
I tried
You
to.
need the fear of it to even catch it, bro. With something,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
I tried to tune a guitar to 432 and it was no luck. But I was just thinking about how awesome or how different it would sound tuned to 432.
Yeah, it does. It
You know.
sounds more like Celtic and earthly. I was playing a little round with it a lot, like come this summer. Like I played in bands, like I've been a musician a lot of my life, and I never did a lot of 432. And playing around with it, it was so hard to sing in it. It was like it was just so weird, but it was kind of funny because I was like a late bloomer with singing, and I think it probably was because I was trying to sing in 432 over top of this 440 hertz thing, and it wasn't working. And then I finally figured out 440 hertz singing, and now I'm like, oh man, I think I was doing it right the first time, because now that I'm playing in 432, I'm like, okay. So it's a weird thing, but yeah, it just sounds more like earthy for sure. It sounds more earthy and a little bit more harmonious. 440 doesn't really add up to anything. 44 is not really a good number either. Like even 444 frequency would be better than that.
44.
And yeah. And then like with frequencies, even like 528, 528 is another frequency you see a lot. Like if you're YouTube healing frequencies, you'll get your 432, your 528. 528 divided by 6, because again, that hexing, that's 6. 528 divided by 6 is 88. So then there's something with that 528 and all these frequencies. So these are connected to the 1080 codes for sure. I got some 1080s here, and then we get that 444 right there. Jesus in Sumerian equals 444, so 44 is a bit of a Jesus code. So the 1080, flatten the curve. They wanted to flatten the curve. I'm pretty sure that's also a match with. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a match with Last Supper as well. Powerball jackpot, money worship,
Eclipse of the Moon, Secrets of Secrets.
Yeah.
That's a thing used a lot. Secrets of Secrets.
Yeah, and then I purposely have Sodom, that connects
Taurus
a
the
bit.
Bull.
Yeah, Kundalini Awakening and Dark Enlightenment beside each other, because we're suspicious of the Kundalini Awakening. We think that has to do with the snake and the parasite and all that. It's like if you go too far on the Kundalini Awakening, the snake, the Kundalini will come out your third eye kind of thing. That's why the Egyptians have it. But talking with people that can do pretty crazy enlightenment stuff, that's bad. You're not supposed to go that far. You're supposed to be like Krishna and dance over the snake and control the snake. But if you take the snake too far and it gets in there, then it's like that Egyptian enlightenment. That might be more so the dark enlightenment than the good enlightenment. And I may or may not have like done something like that, or like, got a little close with the Kundalini coming out. And I was like, uh-oh.
Let's get back in there.
Yeah, that kind of thing going on. And then in the reverse Sumerian, we have some 1080s there. Capitol Hill, it's very interesting. The Good Book, free speech. Also, one I didn't put on there, hate speech matches with free speech in the reverse. Antarctica, the millionaires, what's going on there? The White Rabbit, Golden Gate. So the Golden Gate and the gold and the rainbow. Gold at the end of the rainbow, the Golden Gate does represent that. A lot of people that are into the Gematria and stuff, a lot of codes show up for that, and they think that something might happen to the Golden Gate Bridge. And there's lots of movies with Golden Gate Bridge that like collapses and stuff, and they think that the Golden Gate Bridge represents the Rainbow Bridge, or that's what it's supposed to represent. Because you go to Oakland, oak tree, yoke tree,
true, yeah,
all that. And then there's just a couple at the bottom. I couldn't find too many in any other codes, which means that they are important. Because like on the Gematrinator site, that I'm like, I don't search all on that site, but that site, they updated it in October, and they don't have all the random searches, so they kind of gatekeep a lot of stuff, and not a lot of 1080 stuff was showing up. So that means that I bet I'm really onto something, that they probably are protecting it. But lucky numbers, snow is nows. It's also the NWOs.
Jon Snow.
Snowden. Snow, it's like, yeah. And then even that Edward equals 55. Edward's a match with Satan. So Edward Snowden, snowed in. Snow representing the winter, the Capricorn, the Saturn, the hell is cold. It's like a big name like that. And if he's the coder and stuff, it's just funny that his name is like that Edward matches with Satan, and then he's snowed in.
Good point about the programmer too.
Exactly. And it's all the riddles. Ooh, that might be all I got for that. So we might be on to like more codes. We'll decode on the fly.
Oh yeah, so then you can get into what Lux wanted you to cover before it gets too late.
Yeah, probably We have to run here soon.
Yeah.
But
was there one of them that you at least want to give him to then that you could spend maybe 10, 15 minutes on, and then we'll wrap it up?
There's one. Well, I got one or two that I think are pretty interesting. But there's one I think that would be way too big for us to try to tackle right now. So maybe we can follow up on that one. But okay, so I have a number here: 628 1971.
And what's the significance of this number?
It's a birthday.
Any backstory? Sorry?
It's a birthday.
It's a birthday. Oh, 1971. Is this Elon's birthday?
Yes, sir.
There we go. Okay. Well, I got the decode on this pretty good. I got a pretty good decode on this. When he shared the tweet that was deleted. Oh, just stretching here. The tweet that was deleted where it was the Three Musketeers. Do you know what I'm talking about though? The tweet that was deleted about and it was the meme. He made a meme and deleted it, and it was the Three Musketeers, and they all had their swords, and it was like Trump, Kanye, and Musk, and then it was like True Social, Twitter, and whatever the other one was that would be included in that, and he deleted it, and it was like this big thing or whatever, and so with that, that's three swords on there, therefore representing in tarot the Three of Swords, and I don't know if you guys know your tarot a bit. Do you know what the Three of Swords would represent?
I feel like kind of like the air or the mind of like, well, that would go with the sphere of Binah. So I mean, right there, it's kind of like in a weird area.
Yeah. Well, if I was, say if you were like had a relationship draw or something, say if you were like, oh, I need to find out about this relationship, and I pull the Three of Swords, that means that there's a third party involved. That means that it's like she's not the one, bro, or it means that she's tied up somewhere else, bro. It means that there's a third party that you didn't know about involved in the situation, is what the Three of Swords means.
And they're piercing the heart, too. The swords are piercing the heart.
Yeah, it's a heartbreak card a bit, right? Like, yeah.
That's used with Mother Mary a lot, too. In the older art, she will have a heart pierced sometimes with 3 or 7 swords, I think. And to me, I mean, they almost both like kind of like almost showing the same thing. There is a connection, I think, between the third sphere of Saturn and then the 7th sphere of Venus. So
in those three guys, the Kanye, Trump, and Musk all represent kind of false Christs, false prophets, that whole kind of thing. Are they here to save us? Are they like they've been played around with that a lot? You know what I mean? That kind of manipulation.
Yeah.
So it's funny that it's those three. And then even with that and how those three are looped into it, Christ rides in on a donkey or on twin donkeys. So Trump and Kanye are both Geminis, twin donkeys, right? And then even further with that, Elon Musk is a Cancer. The donkey stars, there's stars that are donkeys, are in the constellation Cancer, representing, so astrotheologically speaking, Christ riding in on donkeys has to go with going from Gemini to Cancer. So we have the two donkeys, and then we have Elon the Cancer riding in on that. Not to mention that all their birthdays are in June. And then all their birthdays with the codes as well. Kanye's is June 8th, so that's 6886. It's through 86, this number, that I was able to pick out the day that a very, very significant death would happen. That day was September 8th, and it ended up being the Queen, because 86 has to do with, I don't know if you guys are familiar with kitchen culture, but 86 in the kitchen means that it's no longer served that night to 86 something. So the 86 is this big code connected to all that, and there's all this 86 symbolism that I don't have time to go down, but like how I even got to that too was TikTok the alligator from Peter Pan. And it has to do, Peter Pan came out the same year as the Queen. And then, I don't know, it goes deep. I don't even know if I have time to explain that. Let's get back on track with this Musk Trump thing. But yeah, so I think that represents the false Christ riding in on the donkey. And then the Three of Swords, they're like, hey, look, someone else is behind this all anyways, kind of thing. We're gonna lead in as the false messiahs, the Trojans, and then we're gonna break your heart. Three of Swords. We're gonna put that Three of Swords on you and break your heart.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, someone else was involved in this all along.
It's almost like Antichrist type.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
Trump's
absolutely.
birthday is the same day as Flag Day, which is June 14th. And then June in reduction equals 14. So that's 1414. You can see that as, and 1 + 4 is 5. So there's a 55 little hidden code in there with Trump's birthday.
Yeah. And he's
And
representing the Trump card of the tarot as well.
Yeah. And 28, Musk being born on the 28th. 28, anyone born on the 28th is usually financially all right. And that has to do with the 28 cycles of the moon, Moony. Bill Gates' birthday is also on 28. And then even with that, Bill Gates is a match with David DePapi, who is the incident happened on Bill Gates' birthday. Bill Gates matches with David DePapi. It also matches with birthday. So those all equal 87. And that happened on Bill Gates' birthday, that whole incident. Very, very interesting. And he's 28, so he's 1028. But 628, so that's kind of the decode on Elon Musk, is the 28s representing the moon cycles as well.
That's
There's
wild.
28.5 in there.
There's actually one of my exes. Her dad was born on 6/28, and this dude, it was like money came to him. I swear, like now that you said that, it just blew my mind, because this guy just for no reason, but just have money come to him, and it was crazy to see. So it's like seeing it in real life.
That's
If you
wild,
just
man.
said
And
it.
then we don't know if that's like the real birthdays or these guys, that is it all that much character.
I have often
They
wondered,
do the
if
magic and they do the sex magic so that they know that 9 months from now they can get the desired transits, the desired dates, all that. And they probably, I think that they have some sort of supercomputer. They just pull up the script and go do their thing, go have fun. That's what I think they all do, kind of thing, is they have something that generates this for this. So they're like lazy and bored. The numerology on Elon Musk's birthday is 124. Seeing that's pretty interesting. I don't know if I have time to deep dive down that. Is there anything else to find out, or do you want me to like go down Elon Musk a little bit?
yeah, I guess with his birthday, yeah.
Well, I'd more so like to go down his name.
Yeah, because
There's
you
some
have
goodness
stuff for that.
there.
You told me you had that done already in the past, right?
Yeah. I was having a hard time finding some codes or whatever, but I can load that up. I can get like that on the sites really easily too. So Elon Musk equals 100, and then think like musky. Something smells, something's musky, and the Elon, Leon. There you get the Leo in there too. Elohim.
I even thought, El and On are both names for gods too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's so deep in there that it's he's obviously a character.
And there's one's female, one's male of those that you just said, right? And my
I
L,
think so, yeah, maybe.
L's
There we
male,
go.
yeah.
And then a musket.
Or a muskrat.
Yeah, muskrat. So this number's pretty crazy. So Elon Musk equals 110, and that even connects with the 127s and that what I brought up earlier, because 73 times 37 equals, I think it's 1,207 or 1,270. So that like fits with those codes, and those are really, really important numbers, because so if 4 is the mind, and I say 33 is cut off before the awakening, 33 plus 4 is 37. 34 to me represents a number of enlightened Christ. And 73, so I see that 37 is like mini Mario, and I see 73 is like Mario that had the mushroom, because it's an anagram of 37. Not only that, it's an anagram in primes in a special way, because the 12th prime number is 37 and the 21st prime number is 73. So not only in that order are they anagrams, but they're also anagrams of each other. And these numbers there's a whole site called 73 times 37 or 37 times 73.com. There's a whole website, and it's like an endless labyrinth of the importance of these numbers and how it's connected to Genesis and like geometry and all this stuff. It's really crazy. And even 37, what is it? It's like 3 times 37 is 111. 6 times 37 is 222. 9 times 37 is 333. So it's also a very interesting number there. So 37 plus 73 equals 110. So think 110%. So not only that does it have this crazy geometry behind it, but it has like quite a few pretty crazy matches because it's Elon Musk matches with Adolf Hitler. So it's like they've used these numbers or the spell. They've used the 110 spell before.
Yo, I swear, I joke around and it sounds silly, but I mean, he is the one with the platform that is a blue and white logo. And people are fucking buying badges to wear. So, I mean, you got your
You buy a badge to wear it.
You got your army of white dudes with blue eyes.
And to cancel people. I have a badge so I can cancel people.
On this platform. And they're paying for it. You don't have to go to boot camp anymore. You just got to fork over $8 and you can get your fucking Nazi badge.
Oh, and they're different colors, too.
Yeah.
They're different colors to indicate how important you are. So if it's just somebody who pays for a subscription, it's one color. If you're a celebrity, it's a different color. Weird, man.
Yes, very.
Segregating everybody into their little color coordinated compilation.
Wow, that's like so simple. It's like, but what they do, like, and they're just mocking that. Wow.
I mean,
it's also a match with the
even if
the
you see
COVID
that whole
V
situation
word,
with fucking Elon and Kanye, with him booting Kanye, it's like you have Elon Musk with his like this, Twitter platform now. You have white and blue in his logo. That's the white pillar with the top blue sphere. And then you have Kanye West, then on fucking Alex Jones with a black mask for the left pillar. And then an orange fucking little, I don't know what he had in his hand, acting like it was talking, which is like the bottom pillar of the left side. So it's like you just had one, you had one kick the other one out. That's all. It was just fucking, to me, it was all symbolism and just silly shit in a play.
Yeah, it was a net, dude.
Yeah.
Little net.
Well, the net, the web.
Yeah.
The grid, spider web, all of it. Yeah. It's also a match with Osama bin Laden. Like they've used these names before. It's also a match with Rockefeller. Even Beaver Moon. The election was on a Beaver Moon. That whole 118 was on a Beaver Moon.
Oh.
It's also a match with Donnie Darko, which is funny. I have a post on it somewhere where it's someone connecting Donnie Darko and Trump and all this. So it's funny that we connect Elon Musk to Donnie Darko to that. It's also a match with martial law. Ronald Reagan. It's also 911 typed out, NINE11 also typed out, equals that, right? 9/11, right?
Maybe that was Elon Musk in the Ronald Reagan mask for the finders.
Yeah.
That's when he started off with just fax machines and computers.
Yeah. Well, remember, years later, it did connect to Musk because,
that's
remember?
right.
Yeah. Because the companies that were working...
Oh, my God, that's right.
Yeah, companies working for the finders were also eventually working on Tesla tech.
Yeah, SpaceX. Holy shit, that's right. That's so fucking weird.
That's so weird.
Yeah, wow. That was
It's
random, too, for me to just say some silly shit like that.
These are pretty crazy. We got Dave Chappelle, another one who's been like shows up in the... frequents the...
Dave Chappelle had him out on stage with him recently, and the crowd booed Elon Musk.
There we go. Recently?
Yes,
yeah.
The only reason I know is because I saw fucking Tim Pool pop up on my fucking suggestions. Yeah, and that was the title of it. It was saying, Elon Musk getting booed on Dave Chappelle. And I saw the preview, and you could see like whatever he was showing on the screen. So that's fucking weird.
It's also a match with Grim Reaper, which connects with the 720 and everything that we're talking about today.
And Saturn.
Yeah. Mirrors. Slim Shady. Black Square. Mark Twain. I posted like a Mark Twain quote thing on Instagram, and it got like 60,000 views or something. Probably because like that's what I think. I think I can use this to predict the trends, to figure if you're using that symbolism, the algorithms probably know about this and probably let certain things go.
Absolutely.
I have to look at it, yes.
Because I had a random, we were trying it with this one random Robin Williams video, and I got like 6 million views on TikTok. And then I got Mudflood Memes, who has like 70K followers, or whatever. I'm like, you were like, okay, we have to try this experience. So he posted on his, and his like same thing. It just took off. So we're like, okay, they're clearly some sort of Robin Williams codes are relevant. And then that makes sense with all this Elon Musk stuff in my Mark Twain video that just popped off. Very interesting. Spotify, interesting.
Oh God, Jesus.
That's kind of more the main codes off the bat. Is there any other codes, or is there like another number, or should I deep dive a bit more?
I think that's probably the only one, because the other one is, I don't know. There's one that's really good. I definitely want you to check out, but we won't have time for it here. But it's the is it the frequency resonance of a human cell? I forget like exactly what it is. I'll go ahead and type it out to you in an email and send it over.
Cool. That sounds like too. And maybe we'll bring one of my buddies on too, because it's like when we work together, we're just like double the code, double the information.
Yeah, that's what I was asking you too. Like, who's these other people you work with?
Yeah, I'll bring on my boy Resonant Properties for that one maybe. And yeah, we can always do more like.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Do you want to let everybody know where they can find your stuff again?
Yeah, that was yourself? At Contemporary Problems _ You can find that, and you can find me on the social medias and wherever. And then my podcast, you can search on wherever you listen to your podcast, and you'll find that. Then I do like numerology and stuff. That is opposite.number. You can find that as well. That's more like the positive side of this, the less conspiracy side of the numerology kind of thing. More the positive, how to empower yourself. And I study the frequency and get more into that kind of stuff as well. And that's about it.
Definitely want to say thank you for coming on, because I mean, you just totally blew my mind. Yeah. That was probably quietest I've been on a podcast in a long time.
I was thinking that before. I was like, I know I'm quiet because I'm just mind blown. I was like, I hope Lux is quiet because of the same thing. I was like, not because he thinks it sucks, because that was probably the most quiet we've ever been. I was just like,
well, it's because a lot of what you covered today connects to other research that I've been doing, and so it's like been jotting things down, like got like a whole page of notes from what we did today. So I really appreciate it, because I think that podcasts like this really help the public to see that this is not bunk. It's not made up fairy tale stuff. This is a science that can be understood, studied, and implemented, into your life or world events. So that's magic, right? So if you know the code, then you know how to hack it and to get certain things that you would like to have happen in your life or others. Ultimately, that's a lot of what magic is, and I think that just you showing what you did today was perfect. So thank you, man.
Yeah, hell
cool.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy that, and we'll definitely get you. Probably just resend the stuff that maybe Lux asked before. Well, I think you have that all written down already. And maybe we'll send you like one or two more things and get you back on in a few weeks or a month or so. So
yeah, exactly.
Maybe make it a part 2.
I'm down to frequent if you need the number, guys. Whatever.
Yeah, and you can talk to your boy. That would be fun. Also, I forgot.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you again, man. I think you did an outstanding job. You brought slides. That's what's up. That was cool. I left all your links and everything will be in the show notes as long as ours. Definitely check out. In case people are listening, we do have, and this is totally fine to go on YouTube, I think. Do check out our YouTube. It is, still fairly new. If you want to be able to see the stuff that is on the screen, we do have Rejects and Friends. The link for that is in the bottom, and we still have our BitChute that will always be going, because that's like for stuff that isn't safe for YouTube. That will be there. And if you are watching this and you didn't know that we have podcasts, we do have podcasts instead, as well, and there will probably be more stuff on that than YouTube. If you happen to be coming across this on YouTube, there'll definitely be more episodes on there, so check the notes. I just want to remind people that watch, we do have a podcast. People that listen, we do have sites to watch the videos as well if you want to see the stuff on the screen. Exactly like with this presentation. This guy was showing everything on the screen. You want to see it, go check it out. And our Element server. Just check that out as well. It was like our Discord, but I think much better. It's much safer. We haven't had any problems. There really isn't any censorship, and everybody's kind of an adult there. We have multiple groups in there and podcasts. Actually, I should talk to them if you don't mind. I mean, I would totally like to add you in there myself, actually. Yeah, TJ, if you don't mind. If you ever want to be bothered getting the app or downloading it or whatever, going on the web, I could probably get the guys to add your show in there. Not putting you on the spot right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like shit like that. You know, we have other shows in there. It's not all about us. There's other people that all have pieces of the puzzle. There's a lot of information getting shared inside that Element server. Definitely check it out. And that's I'm done spieling about that. That is the end of another Occult Rejects. Thank you so much again for coming on. Thank you, Lux. That was awesome. That was fun. That's why I wanted to have Lux on, because I knew he was just going to be like, what the fuck, this shit's crazy. Because a lot of it does really go back to things that I think that we've covered and stuff that we've even talked about and haven't covered. So it was just a coincidence. Were great. So
I don't think you guys thought you'd be learning about the dolphins today. Bring some surprises.
Definitely some interesting stuff. So yeah, that's the end of another Occult Rejects. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later.